Okay. Well, looks like we are about ready to get started. I know I'm a little bit early. I like to be a little bit early just to make sure everything's kind of working. I don't plan on really starting the formal training piece for about another 10 minutes because I know I did an 11:45 start. I want to give people time to show up. Um, if you guys have any questions before we begin, it's the office hours piece. If you're having issues with anything, let me know and I'll see if I can help you guys out. But today we're going to be going over the basics of sports photo automation. How's everyone doing today if you're out there? Gotta be able to get where I can see the comment. Hey Dan, how's it going? Why are my comments not popping? Refresh. There we go. Yeah, definitely. Here we go. How are you doing with all of your automations? Things going well on your side? I'm eager to get started. I know I show up early, but then I just feel like I just sit here. I know that's not entertaining for everyone, but we're about to get into the good stuff soon. And hey, for those of you on the East Coast, it is lunchtime, so hopefully you guys get something delicious. Jason, I was wondering if the program takes the metadata from the cutout so we get the barcode information. Yes. So, how it works is yes, it's going to take the metadata from your extraction and it's going to put it on the final product. So if, I'm assuming you're probably an untagged user. I think you had said before. I shoot and tagged. Nikon typically goes to the comment field. Canon will typically default to the copyright field. Yes, it will retain all of your barcode metadata, so you won't have any issues there. Monitor. Yeah, Dan. Yeah, turning the monitor vertical so you can copy and paste better. That does help. Um, I've tried to move away from the copy paste method. I use the Photo Zombie toolkit, which I'm going to show off in another session, but it definitely helps save a ton of time on the CSV creation. One of the demos I have today is actually on the CSV creation, but I'm going to do it the long way because everybody needs to know how to do it the long way before they can really get the value out of doing it the streamline way, the quick way. It's better to know the long way because that gives you the ability to troubleshoot. Uh, yeah, definitely turn that. I do not. So I've got four monitors. I actually have one, two, three, and one up here. Um, None of them are vertical. I haven't done any verticals yet, and I do a lot of software development as well. I should really look into doing a vertical monitor at some point. Truly. All right, looks like about 5 more minutes. Seems like we're gonna have people dropping in. All right, I'm just gonna have to leave this up. Not really sure why. Like little comments thing is not refreshing very quickly or very well. That's okay though. Let's add that. That is comical. Vertical monitor. I actually have a super widescreen monitor, so if I turned it vertical, it would be, what is this? It's like a 42-inch widescreen, ultra widescreen. So that'd give me a lot of real estate to set it up as a vertical monitor. Any other questions before we get started? We got about 4 minutes, and then I'm actually gonna go into it. The good thing is all of this is recorded, so if anybody misses the very beginning, feel free to watch the video after the fact. I know some other photographers who are interested in coming to this little session have some shoots going on, which is phenomenal. I want everybody to succeed, so shoot to your heart's content, make that money. I'm just going to help you streamline your workflow in the back end, hopefully. Squeaky chair. Hey, look, sleep is for humans, edits are for zombies. I try to update my demos right before this, so hopefully everything in the demo piece goes smoothly. But if not, things don't go smoothly, then you're going to witness some first-hand troubleshooting, which everybody has to learn how to do anyway. Two minutes. 2 minutes. It looks like we got 8 people watching right now. That's awesome. Hopefully, everyone is getting to the point that they can tune in and take notes. Again, it's going to be recorded, so if you need to go back, you can watch it, pause it, follow along with the demos. That's why I wanted to do the live on Facebook, so that everybody gets the opportunity. So, for anybody who's tuning in, is there anything in particular? Main event barbecue? Yeah. So, if there's anything you want in particular for me to do on YouTube, let me know. I have a few videos in mind, but I'll be on it, man. To be honest, I have a very busy life. I will be more likely to knock out a video for you if you post something specific that you want to see. So if you guys have anything that you want to see, send me an email, send me a message, find me on Facebook, comment, reach out to me somehow. Let me know what you want to see in particular, and I'll be sure to make that happen. But typically, if I'm not here helping you guys, I do work IT as my career job, or I work on my Photo Day Zombie toolkit, or I'm currently doing some web development, writing books. I keep myself super busy. So you guys work with me and I'll definitely work with you. I also do one-on-one training if anybody's interested in that for your company as well. Just reach out to me. I'll definitely help everyone out. But it looks like it is that time for us to get started. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. This is the technically I'm calling it the office hours. This is how I'm just sitting in. But today we are going to go over the basics of sports photo automation. In my opinion, it is going to get you the most bang for your buck out of the Pixnub suite of plugins. So My name is Brian Averett. I'm with Photo Day Zombies. I also own Snapped in Time Photography, two different businesses. One is for when I shoot, one is for when I edit and I teach. I'm a developer, father, multiple business owner. I am a Marine. I'm also a nerd geek. I support everyone in the business. Anyone who's tuning in right now, you are not my competitors in the slightest. You guys are my biggest assets because we support one another. Have questions, reach out. I will give you my workflow, the ins and the outs from A to Z because I would rather you guys succeed. All right, prerequisites for Pixnub. This is for the users who don't use it yet and they're just getting started. Well, of course, they are Photoshop plugins, so that means you need Photoshop, and they are installed by the Adobe Creative Cloud. I need to have a Windows or a Mac with Photoshop, with Creative Cloud, and then you need to enable your GPU in the Photoshop settings. If you are going to use sports photo automation for some of these large automations, I'm talking about running thousands of automations at a time, or thousands of images through a single batch at a time, Photoshop is going to eat up your hard disk. Okay, so get a secondary drive or get one of these NVMe M2s. Make sure, I recommend at least 2 terabytes. I've run about 7,000 images through it in a single batch with no issues. I think when I looked, it only used like 500 gig of it at the time. So I was pretty happy with that. But definitely look at getting a secondary drive, or else you're going to run into where it's using your system drive as your scratch disk. And once that's full, for anybody who's ever had a full computer or even a full phone, it's not going to let you do anything. All right, so you're going to have to close everything, probably restart your computer so it just wipes out all that scratch disk, and then you start again. One thing I do consider, and I hate, I love and hate this slide all at the same time. I'm a Windows user. However, I cannot deny the power of the Mac Mini. Mac Mini, the new M4s, running for about $600 right now. Go to Costco. You can often get it for cheaper. Look for deals. But I've built a PC that is well over $1,600, and it is still slower than this little $600 Mac Mini. The Mac is phenomenal for content creators, and so it just runs circles around these massive gaming desktops or even these high processor. I mean, this thing's got 24 processors in it, and you see the Mac is always about 20 to 30% faster when it comes to your automation process. What can you not do while it's running? Well, it uses a lot of copy and paste functionality, and as your copy and paste is shared by your entire system, that means you really can't use that while it's running. You will notice while it is running, there's not a whole lot you can do on your computer because it is just churning through all these images by itself, so you don't have to. Sports photo automation is batch processing to generate images based on template and CSV specifications. Simple templates don't need a CSV. We're going to go over how to run it both ways. However, if you do run it with a CSV, you can do a whole lot more at once. And also, by running sports photo automation, overall, you're just going to make less mistakes because you're taking a lot of the human error out of it on an image by image basis. All right, why spa? For those of you, I know some are just getting started, they're new to this. They really have been doing everything by hand, right? I think someone had multiple leagues, been doing it for so many years, and they create thousands of images by hand. So if you take this into consideration, 350 players, each with 2 poses, what all do you have to update? Well, you got to update the name, you got to update the image, you got to place the image, size the image, you got to update the colors, the team name, update the background, the year, update the sport. Then you save it off and do it 699 more times, 1399 if you're actually doing memory mates as well. Then you become a zombie. And that's just what we do. So sports photo automation helps prevent you from becoming a zombie. Minimum things that you need for sports photo automation to work. Well, you need a template and you need images to go on it. That's all you need to get started. So setting up your Photoshop file. So what you want to do is kind of break it down into exactly what you need. You'll notice like up here, you have the Bulldog football, right? That's going to be a team layer, text layer. And then you have your player image. And then all of these down here, these are just text layers. So on this template, I have 5 text layers and an image layer. On the right over here, this is what your plugin looks like whenever you're going to set up your template for sports photo automation. And we're going to do this live, so I'm going to show you a demo and set up your template, so hopefully it'll make sense as you're doing it. So setting up the text, now this is when you're running with a CSV, right? Pixnub uses set naming conventions for its text replacement, okay? Everything over here on the right, you've got your name, first name, last name, position, blah, 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 blah. All of these are usable column names within your CSV that will directly relate to a layer name in your Photoshop file. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to see that you have a first name that is recognized by Sports Photo Automation, and it's going to, if you're using a CSV, it's going to look for the first name column. All right, and then whenever it creates that image, it's going to replace whatever is in the text of this with the text that's in here in your CSV. So now that we're doing that, you can see that we can have all of these text layers, and then they're all going to be updated on an image by image basis. Okay, so your layer names must match the column names. The only time your layer name will not match the column name is whenever it is appended with a rename option, which we're going to get to, but it's always going to match, the first part of it is always going to match. Here's exactly what I mean by the resizing. So you got -R or -M. You do not put the -R, -M in your CSV. Okay, your CSV will always stay just like this. So your first name, last name, year, spot text 1, league name. The resizing piece goes on the layer name. Okay, so you notice the first name still says first name, and you're just appending -RM to it, or -R. You can do one of the others. And we're about to show you the differences between the two as well. -R resize, it'll make it both longer and shorter. I pretty much see this as a full resize, okay? So for example, if your placeholder, when you have a team name there, says like Cowboys, and then you have a replacement that's like Cubs, right? Cubs is only 4 characters, Cowboys is 7. So with -R, it's going to make that Cubs longer and bigger to match the full size of what the Cowboys was. And then let's say you want to do like Manchester United, right? Or just Manchester. Obviously, that's a whole lot longer than Cowboys, so it's going to shrink it down. Now, -R, I see it as resizing. -RM, I see that as only removing. So only remove or shrink it down. You're not actually removing. That's just how I see it in my head. You're going to resize the final text. You're going to shrink it down until it fits your placeholder. Okay. So if you have Manchester, which is longer than Cowboys, then it's going to take that text and it's going to make it shorter or smaller until it fits into the placeholder of where Cowboys was. This is exactly how it's going to show you. Okay, so we're going to do this is my placeholders on the left, and on the right, we're going to replace those placeholders with cubs. I like to use all X's. You don't have to use all X's. Okay, use whatever you want. You can put Cowboys there. But if you notice when you do -R in the cubs, even though it's smaller, it's going to stretch it out until it fits the same length as, or width as that the placeholder. -RM only does it if it's smaller, but if you notice, all the placeholders are small, so it only shrunk it on that bottom one, cubs, because all the ones above it was longer. -RM won't make it bigger or stretch it out. It only shrinks it. Okay, and then if you have none, obviously they all look the same. Now that's with something very short, but what if we had something that is longer? All right, if you don't have resizing out there, look at this bottom one. It's actually going off of your template. Okay, -RM, it's only making it smaller if it goes larger, and the same thing with the -R. Now -R and -RM look the same in this one because they are all going to be longer than the template, so they're all going to resize it down. But you, in my opinion, you always want to have -R or -RM, because then you're never going to run into this type of issue down here. Okay, so add player photo. Whenever you are creating your template and you are going into the PSD setup, then you're actually going to add the player photo. And you can have up to 3 slots, all right? But you, by default, you have to have at least slot 1. That is going to be used by your SPA column, or that's going to be your default. Okay, so select player, that's supposed to say slot. Okay, select the player slot, has to have at least 1. Then select your mode, alignment mode 4. Now, if you aren't familiar with the modes, go on to the Pixnub website under tutorials, and he has a video that shows you each of the modes. Now, I personally use 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, and 4 the most, mostly 2, 3, and 4 now. But player slot 1 it just resizes by the face. This one right here you see on the right is actually player slot 2, or mode 2, alignment mode 2. So it's going to make sure your head is always right here, and it's going to make sure your feet are at a specific place down here. There are different modes for different situations. So if we have time, I'll try to show each one. But if not, I won't be able to, and we'll do it another day. But this is basically how we're going to add it. Once you click Add Player Group, you're going to see a folder with a few layers added under it. And all you're going to do is you're going to drag it down into your template wherever it needs to be in your layer listing. It'll make more sense when we do it live. All right, and this is the SPA interface. Okay, there's a lot of options here, but really the top 3 are the ones that you have to fill out at all times. So your player images folder are going to be, for the most part, your extractions, or the folder that's holding the images that you want to be put on some sort of template. Next, you have the save folder. The save folder is exactly what it sounds like. Where do you want the finished images to be saved? They cannot be in the same folder as your player images folder. I always create a separate folder called finished or exports, and that's where I save everything. And then your PSD template file is what template do you want to run with this batch. Okay. You also have file naming options. You can use the original, you can create a custom file name, or you can append to the original file name. I like to do appending so that I can help kind of determine how I want to name it in the end. I like to keep the original file name because if I have to go back and do it, that automatically tells me what is the original extraction file name that I need to use when I update this particular template. If you're not using your original and using custom file names, I would urge you to have some sort of consistency so that you know exactly what file is included with your final result. File save type, again, you want JPEGs, TIFFs, PSDs. And then when we get to memory mates, you can do memory mates without a CSV and with a CSV. And then in order to create the memory mates, you got to make sure that this is checked. When this is checked, whenever it's running, it's actually going to then look for a team placeholder. If you try to run a memory mate that has a placeholder for your player and a placeholder for your team, if you don't check to create memory mates, it's not going to replace your team image. It's only going to replace your player image. So you got to make sure that you have this checked as well. All right, now for the good stuff, we're going to get straight into the demos. So let's go ahead and bring up Photoshop. And we will go into what demo do I want to use for creating the team image. Let's create our templates. Let's do an on paper. No. The orbit. Yeah, we'll do orbit vertical. Okay, notice I already have that there. I'm just going to delete it because we are going to kind of start from scratch on these. So let's say this is a template that was brought in. I will actually go ahead and pull in a kid as well. Bring in a player. So whenever you normally get a template, it's already going to have a player in it, right? And so what we have to do is we actually have to prepare our template. So we'll just say this is top text, then this is just going to be first name, and then we'll say this one is last name. All right, so let's say we just bought this template. This is a Third Creative template. I always support Don Ward. He's phenomenal, and he has amazing templates. thirdcreative.com if you haven't been there yet. So I just opened up this template, and I need to get it ready for Sports Photo Automation. Now, if you remember, I had said that in order to use text replacement, I have to look for a specific set of naming, okay? And your names, these are going to be the names of your layers right here. Again, I'm on the Pixnub site. I'm under tutorials and then sports photo automation. Here, I'll just show you. I'll go to tutorials, sports photo automation, and then you have this CSV file setup. This will give you all of your text replacement options. So using this list, let's go ahead and update these so that they match. We know this is going to be our year, okay? Personally, I like to do all caps. I believe Damon said it doesn't matter. It's not required if it's all caps or not. I do all caps. And then I always, as I said before, always put your resizing at the end of it. So year is what it needs to be for Sports Photo Automation to find it. And then I'm going to put -RM. The next, I know this is my league name. So instead of doing top text, I'm going to do league name all together because that's how it's looking for it, -RM. Because if I have a league that's longer than this, I want it to actually be shrunk down until it matches. It will never be longer than my placeholder. Okay. Now, with that being said, you don't want your placeholder to be like 6 characters either, because then if I have Jamestown Youth League and it shrinks it down to 6 characters, it's really not going to work very well. All right, and so down here, I'm going to update this. It's going to be first name dash RM. And then the last name is going to be last name dash RM. Me personally, and again, this is, you find your style. I say personally a lot because it's my personal preferences, but again, find your style, set it up how you want. I like my first name to always be shorter than my second name if I can help it. So I will make sure that my placeholders reflect that. So we've updated our text, and then what we need to do is verify that Pixnub can recognize this text. So I will go up here to set up PSD template, and then I'm going to go ahead and convert spa text to point. This will also convert that text to point, but I use it as a double check. When I click on this, I should have those 4 layer options. There's my first name, there's my last name, there's my league name, and there's my year. So I know that the Sports Photo Automation plugin is finding my layers, which means it will be able to update those layers when I run this with the CSV. However, I still got to deal with the image. All right. It won't recognize this by default. It needs to find your slot in your alignment mode. That is going to tell the plugin how to pull in your image and how to size it and where to place it. So we're going to do player slot 1, alignment mode 1 by default. And I'm just going to click on add player layer group. So now I have, if you notice over here in my layers panel, I now have a folder called Spa Player 1 Mode 1, and then I have my placeholder. All I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the entire folder, okay? I'm going to drag that whole folder down to where it needs to be in my layer listing. So it's going to go down here into my subject image, and now I can get rid of my subject image. Except I didn't get rid of it, I copied it. So now I'm going to get rid of it. So now I can resize this and put it where I need. And again, always make sure you have the entire subject selected. Don't move one of these layers right here. Select the whole folder. That's how I do it. I've never had an issue with it. And then you can resize it to whatever size you want. And now our template is ready to go. Obviously update the colors and everything, but now our template is ready to go. Since I already had my template ready, I'm not going to save this. So now we are ready to run our sports photo automation. That is how you set up your template with your text as well as with your images. So the first demo I want to do at its most basic use case is running it without a CSV. So in order to run without a CSV, the CSV helps us determine what name are we going to put on it. If you have text on your template and you run your images through it without a CSV to tell it what to update on that template, then every kid's going to have the same name. Now you can just do like the league name and the year and it'll be fine because it'll be put on every single template. But what we're going to do is I have a template set up basically the same as what we just did, only there's no text. All right. So this is what our template looks like. And here are the 3 images we're going to throw on them right there. So I'm going to copy that file location. I'm going to come over here to my batch processing. My images folder are going to be where my extracts are. All right, so I've got my no CSV with extracts. Where do I want to save? I'm going to save it to my export folder. What template do I want to run? This is going to be my actual template file. And then I'm not running a CSV. I'm not creating memory mates or anything. So I'm just going to hit run. And then this is where you basically just get to watch the magic happen. How it's working, it's going to say, hey, for every image in that extracts folder, put it on this template that they selected. And just like that, I didn't have to make any changes. I didn't have to do it by hand. It is now placed that image and resize them accordingly onto that template. We're going to go over making a CSV file, but yes, I will also go into doing the CSV. That's one of the CSV build right here. It's one of the demos. So we're going to go into that. All right, so now we're going to do the memory mate. Okay. The only difference when you do a memory mate is how you add. So we already just went through how to add this player mode 1. All right. If we go back to our setup template here, we can actually set our size, which 3000 by 1000 is what I'm doing. If you're running a 4x5, obviously you wouldn't do that size, but since I am running mine a little bit different, it's wider versus how tall it is. So if you're running a regular 4x5, then in width in pixels, you would put however wide it was, so 5000 by 4000 tall. Okay. This particular demo calls for a different size team, and so I'm going to set the size as what I need. And then I'm going to add this team player layer group. This layer group is actually what Sports Photo Automation is looking for whenever it is building everything. And then once you add it, it's going to be right there. Again, it's going to add it at the top, and you're going to drag it down. Notice there's another folder here. Okay. It's going to, whenever it's added, it's going to come to the top just like this. And all you're going to do is I close the folder, so I make sure I get the entire folder when I move it. And you're going to drag it down to wherever it needs to be. So I have a folder named team. I drop it in there. That gives me my nice little fade of what I'm looking for. And that's where it's going to drop the team folder. All right. So my finished image, you're going to have your player standing up tall, and then you're going to have the team down below. Now we're still not running it with the CSV this time. All right. So whatever is on here is going to be what's on every image. If I accidentally put a kid's name on here, then that kid's name would be on every single image. So let's go ahead and look at the difference in how to run for a memory mate. So I'm going to go back to my batch processing. Now let's go update all of our images. Now this is also a little bit different. Think about if you're running 10 leagues, okay? Or not 10 leagues, a 10 team league. And you want to build a memory mate for each of the players that are on that league. Well, you can't use the same template with the same team image. That's why we're using Sports Photo Automation to load the team image. However, if I click on memory mates here, I only get to select one team file because I'm not feeding it CSV. It says, hey, for this image, I want you to use this team file. So the limitation of not using a CSV is you can really only run one team at a time. So if I go to my images folder, notice I have these are split up by teams. So for this team, which is Soccer JS02, now I need to go find that team image file. So if I now go back over here, I have my teams for my memory mates I'm going to select JS02. So for every image that is in my JS02 team folder for my extractions, when you're building memory mates, I want you to use the JS02 team image whenever you place it on there. So where am I going to save it, right? Well, I have an export folder under my memory mate. And then what template do we want to use? I actually have my Rangers vertical template here. Now, if you want to make sure everything loads properly before it saves it off, I like to click right here on pause on finished image, and then you can run the batch. And what's going to happen is going to pull in your player, it's going to pull in your team, and then you can make sure that that's the right team for that girl. That looks right. You can hit continue. And then from here, everything looks good. Hit continue, excuse me, without pausing. Hit yes, and it's going to finish the whole batch. So now if you look in your exports folder, it's going to sit here and just churn away and just create all of your memory mates for you. Now, if I want to run the other team, well, you go back to batch processing, you switch your images folder to the other team, and then you switch your team image that you want to run for that other team. It's going to be saved in the same folder, so I'm fine with leaving that, but I've updated the team images and the team memory mate file and just hit run batch, and it's going to run through everything. So that is the limitation. You're limited to doing one team at a time when running memory mates, unless you run a CSV. So with that being said, let's now go back to our little training, and we are going in to learn about the CSV. Okay. All right. CSV is what I like to call the dreaded CSV. It lets you do more in less time. You can run an unlimited number of templates. Notice when we ran the one without the CSV, you're only limited to one template. You can only run one template at a time. So if you want 4 different templates, you have to run 4 different batches and select the new template every time. And I've said this all the time, if you've ever heard any of my teachings, your automation is only as powerful as the CSV that drives it. If your CSV is wrong, the automation is going to give you the wrong result because that's what you told it to do. Keynote to understand, every line is treated as a single finished image. Okay. So you got 3 rows here. That's going to give you 3 finished images. This right here is also 3 finished images. If you add all these other ones here, then it's not going to give you 1 image for every one that's here. It's only going to give you 1 result. 1 result per row. So that is something you definitely need to keep in mind. I've seen this happen before where someone was wondering why. Because they'll be like, hey, you know, Charlotte Rain, I took 5 images of this girl. If I just put all 5 images in the same row, I'll get 5 images. No. You put them all in the same row, you get 1 image. If you want 5 images for that girl, you need to have 5 rows, 1 with each image you want finished. SPA is the only required column. Okay? This has just the list of images that you want to run in that batch. And it is sequential to where SPA is going to start right here on this image, then go on to this image, and then this image. It doesn't jump around. It is sequential. It will go right down the list. Also, the SPA, this image, has to be the first column. If it is not the first column, it will tell you and it won't run. And also make sure you have the extension of your image in there as well. If you just do PBM 13057, it won't find it because it doesn't know if it's looking for a Photoshop file, a TIFF file, a WebP file, or a PNG file or anything. You have to have the extension in there. Again, text columns. We kind of already covered this. If you want to know what text columns are available to you, go to the Pixnub Tutorials website, go to the CSV, and it'll give you the list that's right here. Layer name in the PSD template must be in all caps, no spaces. That's how I do it. I've never had any issues. It also helps me with consistency as I search down through my layer names. It's easy to find. And I also like to highlight them like fuchsia or something that really stands out, so it's really easy to find. And the layers must be a single line layers. They cannot be paragraph. And you can convert the point text. If you click on the text tool in Photoshop and you like drag and drop, or so you like drag a box that you can type in, when you drag and you create that box, that's actually putting it in a paragraph mode. You don't want that. You need a single line. So basically you just click it and then start typing. That's going to do a single line. Pre-actions, post-actions. This allows you to run actions. This is a little bit advanced for the most basic use cases of what we want to cover, but you can have up to 3 pre-actions and 5 post-actions. Your pre-actions are done on the image you're bringing into your template before it's brought into your template. When we watch the automation, you'll see it load the template, and then in a second file, it will load your extraction. Your pre-actions will run on that extraction before it brings it into the template. Okay. Your post-actions are after your template is pretty much done. So it's already placed your player in there. It's placed your team image in there. It's replaced all of the text. After it's done doing all those updates, but before it saves it off, that is where your post actions take place. And good reasons to do post actions. You know, you can change the colors of the template to match the team, change your background, apply crazy effects. Reasons you'd want to use pre-actions is if you wanted to apply grunge actions or fix some sort of coloring on a player image, make it pop. You may say you want to add some saturation or vibrancy and you want to make it more contrasty or more punchy, you would do that on your pre-actions. If you do it on a post-action, it's going to apply that to the entire template. If we have time, I'll do it. I still got quite a bit to cover in the next 30 minutes, but yes, I will be more than happy to cover how to do actions. And then hide layers, show layers. Honestly, it's exactly what it sounds like. You put the name of the folder or the layer that's in your Photoshop file, and it'll either hide it or show it. So super simple. Play with it, see what works and doesn't. And then these are the other columns. As you can see, when you put all of these columns in a single CSV, it gets big. It almost looks daunting, right? It's intimidating, but you have to learn that it's really not, because every column serves a purpose. Okay, your team file holds the image file name for your memory mate. Your logo file, let's say you want to run like MLB team logos on there, so you can actually show the Braves logo or the Mets logo. That's just going to be the image file name of that logo. If you're running a player 2 or player 3 files, in other words, if you want to run a banner that has 2 different options, so you got like, let's say Jason has his full image on the bottom part, and then like he's a second image of him with some action shot up above him in the same image, that would be your player 2 file. And let's say you want 3 files in there in your same finished result, that'd be your player 3 file. So that's what those are. Template file. So template file, BG file, and background file all do the same thing. Pick one, whichever one works for you. I do template file because I refer to mine as templates and not backgrounds. So this makes the most sense to me. This tells Sports Photo Automation, hey, what template do I want you to use? New file name is if you don't want to use the same image file name that came in, you can tell it to save it as something completely different that makes no sense if you want to. Or let's say instead of doing snp001.png, I want to save it off as first name underscore last name underscore group or team dot png or whatever dot jpeg. That's where your new file name goes. The append file name, whatever you put in here, is just going to be added to the back of the original file name. So if my original file name is SMP001 and I want to put -45T because it's a 4:5 ratio images with text, then my last file name when it's saved off will be SMP001-45T. And if you has a double, so let's say I ran the same image twice, or I try to do the same image on two different templates, but my append file name was the same on both, then it would just append it with an extra 2 or something to show that it's a duplicate. And so it just added a number until it was able to save it off. And subfolder is if you want it to be saved to a subfolder. Now, when you're importing your images, so your extractions, they cannot be in subfolders. Okay, so your extractions have to all be in the same folder. Team building I'm going to do probably next week or in another tutorial. That's a completely different plugin. That's Easy Team Builder. But subfolders, whenever you have your extractions folder saying, hey, I want you to load all my extractions from this folder, it won't read from subfolders. However, it can save to subfolders, your finished product, but it will not read in from subfolders. So when I show you, so we're going to run with a CSV, and then we're going to do memory mates with a CSV. Now, when I told you earlier, all of my extractions, they're from the same folder, right? This is what I mean. All of my extractions are in the same folder, okay? They're not separated by team, because if I separate them by team, I can only run one team at a time. It's going to look in that folder. It's not going to look in the subfolders. So make sure you have them all in the same folder. So let's take a look at our CSV. This is our CSV that we're using. Spa. That is our first column. Has to be our first column. That tells us where or what image we're going to load into our template. All right. First name. Remember that first name layer. We're going to say, hey, when you load in this image on that template, if you find a first name layer, I want you to put this name in it. If you find a last name layer, put this name in it. Our year layer, I want it to be 2023, and our league name is going to be Jamestown Youth League. Okay, so that is all we're doing today as far as this particular automation. We've added 4 text columns. It's not a very complex CSV. We just have an image and some text. And we should end up with 7 total images at the end. Now to run it, we're going to go to our images folder. And in my Sports Photo Automation, I have a whole folder called extracts. Our save folder, where do I want to save it? I have my export folder through this particular demo. What template do I want to use? I want to use this template. I'll go ahead and open it up there as well. So let me open that template so you can see exactly what it is. This will be the one we kind of edited earlier. So we have our player and we have our name. We got our year, we got our league name, the This is not the one I edited earlier. 1 second. It'd be this one. There we go. This is one we edited earlier. See what I mean? You get some live troubleshooting right while we're doing this. So we got our year, we got our league name, we have our first name, and we have our last name. So go back to your batch processing. Now the only difference, we're not running memory mate, so I'm going to make sure that's unchecked. But we do want to click on this right here, use CSV data. Now we pop up with this option here to load a CSV. So we're going to open this CSV, and it'll say data file's been opened or loaded. And then I'm going to go ahead and pause because I like to make sure everything's loading properly. All right, we got our year, we got our league, and we got our names. That's good. I'm just going to hit continue on. And again, now if we go to our export in here, notice how I've get this little wheel of death. That's because Photoshop's running in the background. Remember how I said that there are things you just can't really do while it's running? Well, this is part of it right here. It's running, it's doing everything. So what I can and can't do is limited. All right, spot batch completed. And as you notice, we go through, it is updating all of our names, and we're able to run that whole automation by itself. So for our next one, we're going to do memory mate. Okay, I know I have actions. Well, I'll do actions. So the actions, remember the post actions and the pre actions. Now I already have my actions created. I would love to have time to be able to go and show you how to create them. There are a lot of YouTube videos if you want to learn that, or come into the next office hours session and I will show you how to do it. But we have the same columns here. All right. I've added this append file name just because I like to append file names. And so I've added that in this one. But then I've added my pre-actions and post-actions. I'm not running a pre-action, so I'm going to leave it blank. However, anything that you have blank, you don't need. So you can actually delete this if you wanted to. And then for the action, it's going to run this post-action. So how basically Pixnub is going to work, it says, okay, I'm going to load this image. I'm going to replace all this text. And then it's going to say, okay, do I have any post actions I need to run before I save this off? And it's going to start looking in all of these. And you can run multiple and it'll go in order. It'll run this one, then run this one, then this one, and this one. All right. I only have it as one. Now, what does my action do? Well, if I open this up and I go to my actions, you can see these are my actions right here. Well, that's on paper. These are my orbit action. So I can do purple and it's going to change it to purple. Yellow is going to change it to yellow. Blue is going to change it to blue. No text is actually going to hide the top text. Although I also wanted to hide the bottom text. So I guess you get a treat. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to select this bottom name lower text layers. I'm going to hide it. Notice it added it there. And so now it's all there. I go to purple, change it all to purple. Yellow, changes it all to yellow. No text, hides my text. Okay. So to do your CSV, notice it has the set name with a pipe. The pipe is that key right above the enter. So shift and that key right above the enter, the back shift backslash, right? And that's going to give you the vertical pipe. That's your separator. And then the name of your action. In Photoshop, it looks like this. Orbit is the name of my folder or my set. And then blue, yellow, purple are the names of my actions. And that's how it should be in your CSV. So we're going to run the same, pretty much the same batch. My images, I'm going to select my extractions. Where do I want to save everything off to? That's going to be my actions export folder. What template do I want to run? This is my template right here. And then I'm going to reload the CSV using my action CSV. Now this will tell you if you're running non-SPA headers. This is a warning, but you'll see right here, the data file's been loaded. This is just telling you, hey, there are some post actions in here that Pixnub doesn't recognize. Now this is a false positive right here because it does recognize post action 4 and 5. Damon said he would update this, so it didn't show this. But group is not a recognized column for Pixnub. Now, if it's there, it's not going to break anything, but it's going to tell you it's there. So we have a group column that it doesn't like, but it doesn't care. And then we're just going to hit run batch. Okay, now this looks a lot better than the last one because before it was all light blue. Light blue doesn't really go well with purple. And so now we're able to color match our templates for our kids. I'm going to hit continue with no more pauses. Run the whole thing. Now, when I hit continue with no more pauses and I'm running 6,000 or 7,000 images, that's my cue to go to the movies, to go to bed, go out to a meal, and this is going to keep churning away at all those images in the background. So now if we go to our export, you can see right here, everything is color matched now. Okay, that looks a lot better doing it that way than, we'll say this one right here, right? Because now you have like yellows and purples with this light blue and it doesn't really go well. But if we look at our actions in this export, now everything's color matched and it just flows and looks a lot better. Now, the memory mates. We've gone over how to set up your memory mate. We've gone over how to run your memory mates. And we've kind of gone over most of the columns in here. So again, SPA, we have our text, we have our pin file name. With that, none of that is new. I did add this template file, which is not required for this one, but I wanted to introduce it. But this is the one that you're working with right here. All right. Template file is pretty much going to tell, hey, I want you to load this template file. That's all it's doing. That is not required for this particular run, but this team file is. This is the actual full image name of the team image that we want imported. And then, of course, we have our post actions. So if I delete this, this is the only column that we've added. Okay. And that's going to give us the ability. Yes, there is. I'll see if I can, if we have time, I'll try to do that as well. So, but this is the only thing we added. Okay. And how does that work in our, what are we changing here? Now, remember, we're running memory mate, so we got to click on this. But notice when we are running from a CSV, okay, it changes, right? Notice what's changing. Now we're getting a drop down over here. So now you have a drop down, you have an option. You can use the same image for the entire batch, or you can get the team images from the CSV. This lets us run multiple teams at once in a single batch. This is where the power really comes in from using CSVs. Okay, So while we're not running multiple templates right now, we're able to run multiple teams where we weren't able to before. We're able to not only run multiple teams, but we're able to now put names on those team images, on those memory mates. Okay. And if we look at our memory mate file for this one, we have a name here. We have our team placeholder. Now, notice in the last one, I did a 3000 by 1000. This one is set up with a more traditional 5x4 team image. Okay. So I've got my 5000 by 4000 team image. And again, if you were setting that up, when you go here to your set size, your width would be 5000. This would be 4000. And then you would click on add player layer group, size it, put it wherever you want. But this is what our memory mate looks like right now. So go back to our batch processing. We're going to get these team images from the CSV. Now, then it's going to ask you, well, you're telling me what image to load, but I need to know where to find those images. All right. So you're going to click on this team images folder, and you're going to go select the folder where all of your team files are. So if I look in here and I go look at my team files, these are my team files right here. Okay. Those are my 3 team files. So I want to select that folder with my team files. Because we didn't tell it what directory to find those files in. We only told it what image to load. So that's what that's for. All right, so we have our images. We have our exports. Let's make sure we have the right stuff selected. So we select our extractions. Where do we want to save everything? We're doing memory mates. Memory mates export. What team file do we want to run? Our memory mate, or template file, sorry, not team. Our template is going to be this Orbit 45 memory mate. We want to load that CSV. And then we already selected our team images folder, and we're telling it to pull the team image from that CSV. So it's going to look in the directory we selected, and it's going to go find this file for this kid. So we're going to pause it, and we're going to run the batch. So to run, the difference between running an individual file and a memory mate file is 1 column. If you had all the columns in a single CSV, it's going to be daunting. As I said, it's going to look intimidating. But just treat every column individually because it's just a set of instructions. All right, so that looks right. We're going to continue to the next one and see what we get. We should get a different team image this time. Oh, and we did. And if you notice, it actually is running our action still as well, because we still have this post action that's telling it what color to run. Pause. We're going to continue with no more pauses. And it's going to go through. And it's going to create all of our memory mates. So by using a CSV, we've now added the ability to run multiple teams at once. Now, the next piece to make it even more powerful is instead of just running a single template at once, while even if a memory mate we're running multiple teams at once, and as running individuals are running multiple teams at once, well, what if we can run multiple templates at once? So that's going to be the next piece, all right? And that's where you can run an entire batch in a single run. So we look at this full template now. We're getting a little bit more advanced, right? It looks more complicated. However, we've seen all of this before. We've seen SPA. We've seen the text replacement layers, okay? All of this right here is text replacement layers, except for group. It doesn't like group, remember? So all of these are text replacement layers. A pin file name is going to be what is added to the file name when it's saved off. The template file is new. All right. The template file is going to tell Pixnub Spa what template do I want to load when I'm dealing with this particular row. Okay. So it's going to run this template, and then it's going to run this template, and then it'll run this template, and then this template. And it's better to keep all of your templates lumped together whenever you're running these, because it'll actually enhance your performance. So what you can do is actually sort like this, and it'll run faster. Because what happens is it doesn't have to keep loading and unloading templates the entire time. Let's turn the filter off, because it's going to load this one and then it's just going to reset it. It's not going to load and then unload, then load this one, and then load this one, and then load this one and this one. That's going to add significant amount of time, and I mean it is significant. So make sure all your template files are together. And notice we've done all of these other ones. This is the only one that is new. Sorry, template file. That's the only one that's new. So let's look at how that looks. In our folder here, we have all of our templates in a single folder. We have our CSV, and then we have our export. My extractions are in their own folder, which I always use as the same folder. So let's update our export of where we want to save things off to. What template file we're going to use. Now, you still have to select a single template file. How this works is, I'll get right back to it. Notice whenever we select the CSV, this option also pops up. Templates in your CSV. Well, we did put our templates in our CSV this time. So I want to check that. When I check it, again, it's treating it just like it did for our memory mates. All right. It says, hey, you're telling me what template to load, but I need to know what directory those templates reside in. So you're going to go and select the template directory that has all of the templates in. Again, not in subfolders, all templates in the same folder. We're going to load our CSV. It's going to tell us, hey, we don't like that group. Our memory mates, right? We're telling it to get the name, team name for we're going to get the memory mate team file from the CSV, and we need to tell it what directory those files reside in. And instead of stopping on this one, I'm just going to hit run batch. We don't have much time left. But this is going to run. It's got 20. So notice I'm running 20 images. But visualize this on a larger scale, okay? It's not just going to be 20 images. You can have thousands of images. You can have 1,000 images on one template, run that same 1,000 images on a second template, run that same 1,000 images on a memory mate, run that same 1,000 images on a button. And all you're doing is making sure everything's set up correctly to begin with. Make sure your CSV is set up correctly, and then kick off your automation. And it's going to build all of your images for you. So what I wanted to get back to, you are telling it what template to load from that directory. The template name is in your CSV. However, it's going to throw an error if you don't select the template on that third option down where it says select template. The reason for that is if you do not put the exact file name correctly, or if that directory is not correct, it won't find the template that you're looking for. In the event it cannot find the template you're looking for, it's going to default to that template that you selected by hand, that individual template. So you have to select that one as basically like a failsafe. for it to fall back. And yeah, notice I didn't do a whole lot of work with these. I set up each individual template and then I built my CSV, but I'm not having to go in and edit each one of these by hand. Like it's doing it all for me. That's the power of sports photo automation. And now, yeah, go into our export and I just ran this kid on 4 different templates. This is actually the same template, but I'm running an action to hide the text. So like if I want to put this on whatever, say like a bag tag or something, I don't have to worry about the text being cut off because I hid the text. Or if I want it on a keychain, whether it's round or square, it'll work fine. All right. So I like to offer images, finished images with no text on them as well, because it gives you more product options that the parents always like. All right. And so after that, we do have the CSV build. Let's go ahead and do that one. It's going to have to be fairly quick though, because I am unfortunately running out of time. I've gotten through a lot of the demos, but this is obviously going to be something that you guys want to see. So this is a direct export out of GotPhoto. Okay. You don't need a lot of these columns. So a lot of these empty columns you don't need. Let's say I'm going to run a single template, so I don't need my template file. I'm not doing memory mates. I just want to run all of these. Or let's say I do want to do template file. If I know I want to run template files, I'm just going to add my one column name that I need, template file. So let's go ahead and rename these columns, because remember, it has to use Pixnub naming. So you're going to do spa, first name, last name. This says it's institution, but I know that this is the league name. Identifier, that doesn't tell me anything. I'm just going to delete it. The group, this is actually my team name. And this is actually the division, which is not a Pixnub column or a recognized thing. So I just do group, so I know that's my division. You can do division, which I don't think is a Pixnub. So you go down here, you can see all these. You have league name, position, year, class. I can name it as any one of those and it'll be available for a text resize. Let's say my template name, I'm going to run these templates, right? So let's just copy this on paper. Now you need the extension too. Copy, come all the way down, paste. All right, well, I want to run all of these on the second template. Okay, well, oh, wait, hold on. I did miss one that I like to do, right? I love to append file names. I'm going to say I'm going to append 45T on paper. That's telling me it is a 4x5 width text template on the Orbit template. I'm going to paste. I'm going to leave a space. I like leaving spaces because it lets me quickly, like if I'm scrolling up, I can easily see there's a break. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick a second template. We're going to do this Orbit 4.5 vertical. I'm going to replace this. And instead of being on paper, this is actually going to be on the Orbit. Scroll all the way down, paste. So now I'm running approximately, we put a lot of space in there, so approximately 1,830 images on 2 different templates, and it is now ready for sports photo automation. Because remember, we have spa, right? That's our, has to be in the first column. That's telling it what image I want it to load. You have your first name, your last name, your league name, team name. That's all for your text replacements. And then you have your template file. You're telling it what to load, and then your append file name. And from there, let's say you wanted to do another one for your team names, for your memory mate, right? So I'm going to do one for memory mate. Add a little space. I'm going to go pull my memory mate file name. I'm going to paste it right there. Now I'm going to say this is no longer a 45T, which is for an individual. I'm going to say this is a memory mate on the orbit. Okay. Bring this all the way down. Paste that. Now, when I'm running a memory mate, I'm loading the memory mate. I'm telling that the player image, but I haven't gotten to where I load a team image yet. Well, let's go add that column name. But now we need to load our team file. Our team file. And this is where you can get into the habit of streamlining things. My team names are always going to be the group name or the team name .jpeg. So if I want to do it this way, I can say concatenate my team name with .jpeg. And if I do that, I can paste all of this. And that is going to be my team image that is going to be loaded into my memory mates. So it is a manual process. And I do have a solution for this. I look at the Photo Day Zombie toolkit. And I can honestly just kind of show you guys. I don't want to. It's only got 2 minutes. I do have a solution. The other thing you had asked about, which I think we have just enough for 2 seconds, is there a quick way to add image file names to CSVs other than going back and forth between your folder and typing it in? Yes. So I will post a comment with the link of copy file names. If you're using Windows, right? We'll say copy font. No, I don't want that. Just copy file names from Extrabit software. Okay. You'll want to use this for Windows. For Mac, you don't have to worry about it because it'll do it natively. But when you install that, let's say I have all these images, I can right click, I can go to show more options, and I can copy file names. If I do that, and I go back over here, remember your first column is spa, and that can just paste. That has all of your images that were in there, all the files that you have selected. So recommend that. All right, guys, we are at the end. Let's see. Kylie, it does not change the metadata. So if you're using it tagged, your barcodes will be in your finished image. Using, or even if you're using QR codes. So if you're using QR codes, you can use the append file name, because if you use append file name, it'll still sort the right way because it's sorting by the first part. Appending will just add it to the end. So I would suggest for using QR codes, if you're going to do any sort of renaming, always use the append file name. I started out with QR. Now I shoot in tagged. The workflows work perfectly for both. All right, that's all the time I got. If you guys have any questions, definitely reach out to me directly. I look forward to hopefully doing this again next week. Maybe I'll probably be doing easy team builder. Or we can also look at just going over individuals. If you want to see how I do actions, I'll show you how to create actions. If you guys have questions on how to do anything else, then I will definitely help you guys out. So stay tuned and happy editing. I hope to talk to you guys again soon. All right. See you.